This is not a normal election, and this is not your father's Republican Party. It's now Donald Trump's party, and if he's elected, the consequences will be catastrophic. Trump acolytes have an entire plan called Project 2025 that outlines priorities for the first 180 days of a new Trump administration. And it's not hyperbole to say that Project 2025 would dismantle democracy as we know it. Critics are calling it the fascist playbook, and it should be one of the reasons, if not the reason, that you vote this November. What's at stake here is not just a Republican agenda versus a Democratic agenda, as in years past, but democracy itself. And you don't need to take anyone's word for it. You can read Project 2025 for yourself. The far right's blueprint spans 2 volumes, over 800 pages, and it details comprehensively the Republican strategy to remake the executive branch, concentrating power solely in the hands of the president. But as the far right is well aware, this project can't proceed without restructuring our government's foundations, without eliminating the legal obstacles and checks on the president, like, for example, the Department of Justice, which is why there's a whole chapter in Project 2025 about the DOJ. In his most recent piece, The Nation's Elie Mystal highlights how devastating Project 2025's assault on the Department of Justice could be. Elie writes, quote, "If Project 2025 is essentially a conservative heist plot, then the chapter on the DOJ is where the plotters detail how they intend to disable the security cameras and floodlights, allowing them to operate under the cover of darkness." Incapacitating the Department of Justice is exactly that, knocking out the security cameras. Trump's problem with the DOJ is not, as he claims, that it is a bloated bureaucracy, but rather that, as currently structured, it won't carry out MAGA's bidding. Mystal goes on to explain, quote, "Project 2025 proposes transforming the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ into a tool to fight for white supremacy instead of against it. It aims to do this by using the division to prosecute institutions and organizations that promote diversity as violating civil rights and equal protection of whites. And it's the logical conclusion of the conservative assault on affirmative action and DEI programs. Project 2025 is telling us exactly how the conservatives plan to take away the rights of women, people of color, and the LGBTQ community. I beg the American people to believe them." For more on this, I am joined by Elie Mystal himself, columnist and justice correspondent for The Nation. He's also a fellow with the Type Media Center and the author of the book, Allow Me to Retort, A Black Guy's Guide to the Constitution. Elie, we touched about this very briefly in the introduction, but can you please give us the TLDR for how Project 2025 plans to restructure and repurpose the Justice Department?
Yeah, so Project 2025 isn't a plan, it's a manifesto. It's a manifesto for how Trump's ruling junta intends to take over the legal structures of our nation. And it's really focused on the DOJ because, remember, folks, the DOJ hurt Trump, right? The DOJ stood up to Trump. And I say that having almost no respect for mustache-twirling racist Jeff Sessions. But when it came time to do the right thing, Jeff Sessions did the right thing and recused himself. I have almost no respect for Bill Grimace Barr. But when it came time to do the right thing after Trump lost the election, Bill Barr would not do Trump's bidding and would not file frivolous lawsuits against, the voting machines and Smartmatic and what have you, right? So Trump will not have forgotten that. And Project 2025 manifesto is his plan to remake the DOJ into an organization that will do its bidding, right? And the kind of key way to do that, I mean, look, the entire section is basically like a Seinfeld episode of Festivus, like it's just an airing of grievances that they have against, like,
can we talk about one of those grievances? Can we talk about one of those grievances? There are many, you're right.
Sure.
But one that I found particularly troubling is that Project 2025 proposes to redirect the Department of Justice's focus from white-collar crimes to violent crimes. And I thought this was really interesting, given that many of the crimes of which Trump and, as you put it, his junta have been charged are often those white-collar crimes. So what do you make of this shift? Is this self-serving? What's the subtext here?
Right. No, they're trying to keep Trump's family out of jail with this stuff, because one of the other things that they do, not only are they saying that the DOJ should focus on violent crime, not tax fraud, bank fraud, charity fraud, all the stuff that Trump's and his people are accused of, right? And it also says that the DOJ needs to fire lawyers. They want the Department of Justice to fire the 300 or so lawyers that work for the FBI. It's why did they do that? Well, because the lawyers who work for the FBI are the ones that tell the FBI what they can and cannot do. And Project 2025 doesn't like that. They don't want to tell the FBI what they can't do. They want the FBI to take their orders directly from a political appointee that is beholden to their attorney general. And that's the other thing that's, I think, most scary about this idea, right? Because if you look at who the Republicans are talking about for attorney general, they're talking about people like Stephen Miller. They're talking about people like Mike Davis. They're talking about people who think that the wrong turn for this country happened when Lee surrendered at Appomattox, right? And they want to take us back into that antebellum way of thinking. And that's who, next time around, Trump is going to appoint as his AG, a loyalist racist, as opposed to just a general racist.
Well,
welcome back to Breakdown Friday. Joseph Ward, Patrick Irvin, Professor Carl Tone Jones, and we are here giving a breakdown and an overview of what Project 2025 is. This will be the first of a couple of videos that we dive deep into Project 2025. It's a 900-page manifesto about what the Heritage Foundation wants to do to the American government. And yeah, we just not going to do all of it today. So this will be the first of many. But today we're going to concentrate on the overall idea of Project 2025 and you know, alert you to what it is. And then in future shows, we're going to get into more details about Project 2025. But also, we got to think about, how does this affect Black America, right? We see the video that we just watched, and the idea is a total restructuring of the government in favor of the way they're putting it, in favor of Donald Trump and his constituents. And they want to make a totalitarian government that's ruled by Donald Trump. And from there, they will be able to reshape the government and reshape America and under their Republican and conservative ideas. And so that's the language that's being used to push Project 20 or to alert people about Project 2025. And of course, we're getting this from liberal lenses. And so we are here to educate ourselves on Project 2025, but also to take the fear out of Project 2025. Why should we be afraid of Project 2025? But we're also here to be real about the implications that could come from Project 2025, because Black America has refused to get our stuff together as a collective. So how could the implementation of Project 2025 negatively affect Black people? But how can it be implemented overall? So we're going to dig into all of that. Pat, I'm going to start with you, my brother. What are your thoughts on Project 2025, but also the way that Project 2025 is told to us through the media, like in the video that we just saw?
Well, the video we just saw, in my opinion, was more propaganda than anything else. That was pure foolishness. I mean, you got the guy. I'm not saying I disagree with name calling and acting silly, because we do it. Right?
Yeah.
But if you're in a political realm in that sort of arena, that sort of landscape, trying to have it, like, it looks like y'all are trying to do y'all best impersonation of Fox News, and y'all hate Fox News.
Right.
So it, like the name calling and all of the other stuff, I don't want to see, like, if I was on MSNBC, CNN, any of those networks, I wouldn't be doing that. If we're going to talk about the issue, let's talk about the issue. Secondly, the presentation is just all ass backwards, you know. And the black overweight Einstein just totally fucked up everything with his presentation of it. I don't.
Yeah.
One, this is not a Trump plan.
Right.
This is a Heritage Foundation plan. The Heritage Foundation is a conservative think tank. They're not thinking about Trump being their savior. They're trying to restructure the presidential office to be more in line with what they want it to be. They don't care who the next Republican president is. They just want a plan for the next one to come in. Now, if that's Trump, it does them no good if Trump isn't on board.
Right.
They need a president that's on board. Second, it's not a total restructuring of the government. It's a total restructuring of the presidency and the things that the president can do. It's not a total restructuring of the entirety of the government. So there's another thing, like there's a structural piece. Now, is the restructuring of presidential powers, the things that presidents do and the way they maneuver, will that impact the rest of the government? Yes, it will. But as long as those checks and balances and things are still in place, then you still have avenues for pushback. There is no totalitarian regime being put in place.
Right. That point there needs to be hammered home, that this is not a totalitarian plan. America has checks and balances in place. We have the means to fight back if any administration decides that they want to just totally take over the government, or any foundation or whoever the people are, like they want to totally take over the government. You're gonna have a fight on your hands.
Yeah, this is pure fear mongering, and it's not even fear mongering with a purpose. A purpose that's relevant and beneficial to black people. It does have a purpose. Come out and vote for Democrats. That's the purpose, and it's going to be very effective. But it doesn't serve any use, any utility for the black community. And then he goes off on this thing about focus. They want us to focus more on violent crime versus white collar crime. All right, I understand that you're trying to position that as saying they're trying to move the needle away from things that might get them caught up and focus on things that they don't really touch on, so they can continue to do the illegal things they do free of reproach. But when you position it as a one or the other, why the government is big enough, the Justice Department is big enough to focus on white collar crime and violent crime? Why are we even playing this game, this false duality, this idea that we got to pick one or the other? Me personally, as far as it affects my life, I would rather them focus on violent crime than white collar crime. I mean, right here in Charlotte, we got around people. So that's, you know what I'm saying? I would rather them worry about catching him than worry about them catching the dude that made $500 billion instead of $499 billion. Personally, as far as what impacts my life, do I want them to get that dude? Yes, because in a larger sense, he does have a lot of influence over my life. But I got to be alive for that to matter. So, but I don't understand why it's a either or discussion. He positions it as if firing lawyers is a bad thing. Some lawyers need to be fired. I would dare say most of the prosecutors in the country probably should be fired. Yes, I'm saying it. I'm just saying it how I feel. I don't have no stats to back it up, but I don't like prosecutors because they are largely involved with putting black people in jail. So I don't like them. And you can judge me on that however you want to judge me on it. But they probably need to be fired. Most lawyers, I don't give a f- they need to be fired. That include the public defenders that got a caseload so big they can't remember your name. They need to be fired too. Say no.
Hey.
Just tell. I don't know if that's even possible. I'm just talking out of my rectum right now. But say no. Like if I'm a public defender and you hand me 20 more cases and I got 60, I ain't even processed. No. That's when I give you the black woman finger. We are not doing that.
I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah, like we are not doing it. No. So all in all, like that whole thing was malarkey. The way they're spinning it is negative scuttlebutt. I don't like any of it. It's fear mongering. It's foolishness. It's Bobby Boucher with Gatorade. It's not to be trusted.
Yeah. Last week when we were closing out our show, that's one of the things that I was talking about. The messages that are used to talk about Project 2025 from the Democrats. And it's all fear-based. I watched a video where it may have been Joy Reid, but I don't want to pin that on her directly because I don't really remember. But it was a black woman who was one of them news reporters, and she basically looked in the camera and said Trump is trying to declare himself as king. And we get why they're saying that, because they want people to vote Democrat. But it's a 900-page document. Read it. Read it for yourself. Get into it. It's going to take some time, but get into it. Familiarize yourself with it. Get breakdowns of it. Whatever you need to do, familiarize yourself with Project 2025. So, because the more you're educated about it, the less you would fear it. Go ahead, Pat.
Well, I just want to add this in. For those that say, yeah, but it's Trump, boom, 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 it's based on Trump. No, it's not.
It's not based on Trump.
It's based on an older conservative plan from the 1980s, which was put in place for Reagan's transition into office, which was also called the Mandate for Leadership.
Right.
So it's not based on Trump.
No.
It's based on conservatives doing what they do better than everybody else in the country. Plan ahead.
Well, it's based on Paul Dans, the director of Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation, Spencer Cheriton, the associate director of Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation, and Troop Hemingway, the associate director of Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation, and a list of over 100 other contributors and people who help author this, as far as writing it, and people who poured in ideas. I'll put the link to the Heritage Foundation website so you can go look at the documents and look at all the things yourself. There's a list of authors. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a whole bunch of authors, about 30 authors. It's about 30 authors in this. And then the other contributors, this list it's about 100 other contributors. So this is a collective effort by conservatives to push their ideas. All of these people align on these specific ideas, these specific foundations that they want for the government. And they, like Pat said earlier, they need to align themselves with Trump because he's the Republican candidate. They need to align themselves with him so they can implement this. PC, what are your thoughts on 2025, Project 2025, and what are your thoughts on the video that we just watched, telling people about 2025 or scaring people about Project 2025?
Just on the optics, man. One of the things that I see that is, it's predictable, is that when they have these stories, they always feature somebody black, and the person that's black is the main agitator or the main one agitated in all of these different stories. And maybe I need to turn my mic a little bit. There you go. The person that's black is always the one that is the main agitator, or like I said, agitated person, whomever it is, in terms of that. And that does something. First of all, it just speaks to the theatrics of what has become media these days. And so, the scare tactics, man, grow some nuts. You know what I'm saying? If that's what it is, just grow some nuts. You'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Every time you turn around is the Democrats or the Democrat stooges who happen to be these media networks that push this crap out every so often. They're always trying to use scare tactics for black people. They listened to Charles Manson when he talked about how to operate and function with black people. And so what it comes down to is that, first of all, Trump, I haven't ever heard Trump even really talk about 2025 the project himself. Two, the timing of this all and aligning it with Trump is very peculiar because this plan was put in place. This plan has been well documented and available to the public since 2022. So why now? Maybe it has something to do with that disastrous debate that just took place a few weeks ago.
Well, they were pushing these fear tactics a bit before the debate, but you're right, it did help.
Oh, they knew it was coming. They had to, plant the seeds, but they didn't come on strong. It's like they're down the fourth quarter and they bring in Michael Jordan off the bench. All right, Mike, you got enough rest. Come, what I'm saying? Come save us, what I'm saying? Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. This is the type of stuff that goes on. But let's be, and Pat was right. White supremacy is always trying to find a way to in terms of like the conservative outlook, they're always trying to find a way to plan for the next phase of the new world order that they're trying to create. That's no secret. They've been doing it. They got books, A Brave New World, all these different things. They've been talking about this for hundreds of years, about in terms of maintaining power and superiority over the planet. They have been working on it. So they always are going to find a way to get ahead in terms of trying to set policy and things of that nature, or create a circumstance that's going to operate in their favor. So if they got a think tank out there that did this, my question is for all of y'all who are scared, where's your think tank? How come y'all haven't put together a think tank? How come y'all have not, created situations where you can either counter this or build something strong enough to repel this? Well, if you're so damn scared, and I don't take it lightly that they have this, because the last time we heard of something of this nature was the Plan for a New America that was published with a bunch of neocons back in 1999. And it called for, if America wanted to maintain military dominance and wanted to get the American buy-in for global supremacy based on the world, the American public would not follow it unless they had a new Pearl Harbor. And then when 9/11 happened and they asked Henry Kissinger what just happened, and he said, we just experienced a new Pearl Harbor. So I don't take it lightly that they wouldn't put things in motion. But this particular thing, they have been planting, whenever you have a Republican a president, same as with the Democrat, the most important appointments they make are judges, federal judges. And there are far more Democratic judges that have been appointed than Republican judges. And over the last, so you got like 340 Democratic judges, and then you got like 270 or 250 Republicans that are judges. But that's, so going in line with a lot of the things they're talking about, they've already been trying to do this. They've been getting young people on the bench, the Republicans, because they're trying to catch up and maintain these federal appointments over this. So they've been doing this whole thing about manipulating policy and putting people in place and position that's going to serve their agenda moving forward. And it's just, like I said, there's more scare tactics, the timing of this, and I wrote something else because I was going to say some of the things Pat said, but he already got me with the pleasantly plump brother who was sitting there losing his, and out there doing name calling, which typically when you slip to that place where you have to start insulting people, that means you really don't have the argument in hand. And that's what I'm seeing there. So with that, man, I'll land my plane.
Yeah, man. So Project 2025, I got the website pulled up and I have the PDF of the mandate for leadership pulled up as well. Like I say, the PD or the mandate for leadership, that the conservative promise, that is almost 900 some pages. But it's a 180-day playbook. Like the first 180 days within office, they plan on transforming the presidency. And so the fourth pillar of Project 2025 is our 180-day transition playbook and includes a comprehensive, concrete transition plan for each federal agency. Only through the implementation of specific action plans at each agency will the next conservative presidential administration be successful, right? Pillar 4 will provide the next president a roadmap for doing just that, right? It's the 2025 Presidential Transition Project paves the way for an effective conservative administration based on 4 pillars: a policy agenda, presidential personnel database, presidential administration academy, and the playbook for the first 180 days of the next administration. And that's the about. Well, that's not the about, but as I read to you earlier, if you go to the about page, Paul Dance, Spencer Sheridan, and Trump Hemingway are the 3 main people, the founders and the directors, or the 3 main directors of the Heritage Project, and the main ones pushing Project 2025. The actions of liberal politicians in Washington have created a desperate need and unique opportunity for conservatives to start undoing the damage the left has wrought and built a better country for all Americans in 2025. It is not enough for conservatives to win elections. If we're going to rescue the country from the grip of the radical left, we need both a governing agenda and the right people in place, ready to carry this agenda out on day one of the next conservative administration. It is the goal of the 2025 Presidential Transition Project. The project will build on 4 pillars that will collectively pave the way for an effective conservative administration: a policy agenda, personnel, training, and a 180-day playbook. The project is the effort of the Board Coalition of conservative organizations that have come together to ensure a successful administration begins in January 2025. With the right conservative policy recommendations, the properly vetted and trained personnel to implement them, we will take back our government. This is what they're saying. The 2025 Presidential Transition Project is being organized by the Heritage Foundation and build off Heritage's longstanding mandate for leadership, which has been highly influential for presidential administrations since, like you all said, the Reagan era. So this is not new. Most recently, the Trump administration relied heavily on the Heritage's mandate for policy guidance, embracing nearly 2/3 of Heritage's proposal within just 1 year of office. Paul Dance, former chief of staff of the Office of Personnel Management during the Trump administration, serves as director of the 2025 Presidential Transition Project. Spencer Sheridan, former special assistant to the president and associate director of presidential personnel, serves as associate director of the project. So, there are people that are associated with Project 2025. From my readings, there may be I've identified maybe 4 or 5 people that are associated with Project 2025 that have ties to Donald Trump. And but like we said earlier, Donald Trump is also trying to distance himself from Project 2025. Go ahead, Pat.
And no, what I was going to say is, see, this is where people forget that Trump is not your usual anything. Everybody, a good chunk, I'm not going to say everybody, a good chunk of the people that came into Trump's term with him did not finish that term with him and were not on good terms with him at the end of that term. So with any other candidate, you could look at them and say, well, this person was part of their transition team and this person was this and that. With Donald Trump, because there was so much turnover and so many people that fell out with him for a variety of reasons, just because they were in office with him at one point really doesn't mean that they like you got to do a deeper dive than just, well, this name matches that name. And so that's where it gets to be, if we're going to have these conversations about, because the Heritage Organization is bigger than Trump. If we're going to have these conversations about their connections with power, then sure, we can have these conversations about their ability to get policy passed. But that's largely bigger than Trump. That's now you're talking about legislator. You're talking about Congress. You're talking about department heads. You're talking about the people that Trump might be appointing. If you're talking about like organizational directives and policies. So you're talking about all these other things. But yes, there needs to be a deep, and I know we're going to do that deep dive, but I think what you just said really showcases the analysis has to be different. We got to take into account the differing context surrounding Donald Trump versus any other politician out there, because Donald Trump is not a politician.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And even if you, like we were talking about before the show started, even if you did have your hooks into Donald Trump at some point, that's been proven. That's a temporary situation. At some point, that man is going to shake you loose and do whatever he want to do.
If it's
There's nobody that's had their hooks in him for a consistent and persistent and long period of time.
Well, okay, so also Donald Trump's administration has Agenda 47. And the Heritage Foundation has Project 2025, and they do have some similarities, but going off of what you just said, what we know about Donald Trump and his ego, Donald Trump wants to be the man. He want to be in charge. He want people to follow him. He don't really want to follow them, and especially if it don't benefit him as supporting his ego and his narcissism, But Agenda 47 is what Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign called for their formal policy plans. According to the Trump campaign, it is the only official, comprehensive, and detailed look at what President Trump will do if he returns to the White House. So that lets you know right there that they do have their own. They have their plans, and the Heritage Foundation has their plans for what they want the president to do within the first 180 days.
But it's just like what PC said too. Trump has never endorsed or even spoken of Project 2025.
Right.
And I know it'd be real easy to say, well, why would he? Because that's how Trump moves.
Right.
Like, you can't judge this man like other politicians. If Trump supported it, Trump would have told you he supported it, because that's who Trump is. So I think PC, when he said he's never mentioned it, that kind of nails that thing to the wall. All right, we can stop. That's who, I repeat it. Nate, there isn't a single thing out there that Trump endorses that he has not told us he endorses. Trump's mind doesn't operate like that to say, well, I want to do
too egotistic,
but I'm fuck with it, so I'm gonna play this game. Trump don't play them kind of games.
The narcissism won't allow him to be logical about it.
No, it won't. I mean, man, listen, the first presidential run Trump had, he was literally at a debate with what was the Bush that was running Florida at the time? Neil Bush? No, not Neil Bush. That was
Jeb Bush.
Jeb Bush. Yeah, Neil Bush was the one that stole all the money. The savings and loan scandal. And he's sitting there literally talking about at the joint. He said, I bet my bigger than yours. And I didn't mean to say it like that, Joe. My bad. It just came out. But ain't gonna be. But he's literally, judging his manhood like at a presidential debate. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even letting him talk. That's just who he is. He, like I said before, he'll lie, but he ain't no chameleon. We know exactly what we're getting with Trump. And Pat was talking about it. And Trump ain't even really a Republican. Trump is just anti-regulation. He's a businessman. Set up backdoor deals and all types of stuff. He's a shady businessman, but that's who he is. So in terms of like caring about what the country is and what the country's, Trump don't give a damn about what happens the day after day after his presidency is over. This time around, if he ain't trying to find a way to stay in the presidency, he don't give a damn about what happened to this country. I'm talking about pledging the future, this, that, and the other. Now he might be on some get back to the departments that is running him down.
I don't doubt that he'll be on the revenge tour, but
yeah. But what this is what my thing, right? because we can read all 900 and something pages of that 2020, 24, 25 thing. What it comes down to is, okay, Democrats, what y'all gonna do about it? Since y'all talking about, well, you know, if you, because I've seen people on my timeline talk about the 2025 plan, and I'm like, I know damn well y'all didn't read it. Y'all just going off the clips and the stories and the highlights of what's being read, and the whole thing came down to really like the DEI that really seemed to repulse people more than anything else. And the fact that they were talking about getting rid of DEI policies and things of that nature. But if it was just about black people, would nobody give a damn. The Democrats wouldn't be talking about this. You know, this whole the whole way that this is being played is black people, you're still not good enough to get tangible, you know, to be rewarded tangibly for your vote. And we're going to just keep finding different boogeymen, because we know eventually we're going to push a button. It's going to take you behind to the polls. And that's what they know it, and they've been able to read it. Now, it only works if you haven't already like given up on this system. Well, you know what I'm saying? It works then. But for the people who have given up on thinking that this thing works for them, nothing you do is going to scare them to the polls. Nothing. Y'all might as well get out the 40s and have the strippers and have them twerking, talking about twerk your way to the poll or whatever they were talking about before. Y'all might as well try those tactics and give them chicken and weed to try to get them to the polls, because nothing else. You know? And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to insult people. I'm just saying these are the tactics the Democrats used last time when Trump was running.
If you get insulted by it, it's because you recognize something in it, and so that's something you. But I think there's like two things I want to say, and then I know Joe want to move on. One, the DIY stuff is already going away. We don't without DEI, DIY, die. All of it is going to die. It's already dying. Diversity, inclusion, and all that other stuff is already going the way of the dodo bird. State by state is being repealed and shut down and kicked out. So Project 2025, that's not necessary for that. That's already happening. Right along with the affirmative action stuff. Like that's already being dismantled. You could thank Edward Bloom for that. One man has been on a nationwide tour removing all affirmative action cases and has been fairly successful in devoting his life to that. But we don't even know his name, Edward Bloom. We don't even know his name, Edward Bloom. But why don't we know his name, Edward Bloom? I don't know. So, but then in addition to that, y'all can't have it both ways. Either the government don't do nothing for us, and we want it to be shut down and destroyed, or the government does a lot for us and we need to defend it. You can't play the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because basically it's as if the Democrats are for more government and the Republicans are for less government.
That's exactly what it is. And then, but you got black people in the middle saying, I don't like the government, but then you allow the Democrats to scare you when they're saying, well, if you don't vote for us, they're going to destroy the government. Well, you should be like, all right, cool.
Look, man, look. Okay, so Agenda 47, it says plans include constructing freedom cities on empty federal land, investing in flying car manufacturing, introducing baby bonuses to encourage a baby boom, implementing protectionist trade policies, and over 40 others. 17 of the policies that Trump says he will implement if elected will require congressional approval. Some of his plans are largely controversial, such as ending birthright citizenship, and may require amending the Constitution. Many of the proposals are contentious. One Agenda 47 proposal would impose the elimination penalty on drug dealers and human traffickers, as well as place Mexican cartels on the United States list of foreign terrorist organization. Trump also suggests deploying the National Guard to inner cities with high crime. So this is Agenda 47. These are proposals that they have for Agenda 47. Now, for Project 2025. If you look at page 2 of it, at the bottom of page 2, you will see where it's start to talk about the conservative promise, because they have 4 promises. So this volume, The Conservative Promise, is the opening salvo of the 2025 Presidential Transition Project launched by the Heritage Foundation and many partners in April of 2022. Like PC told you, this was been around since 20. Yeah, you said 2022, right? Yep.
Sure.
And its 30 chapters lay out hundreds of clear and concrete policy recommendations for White House offices, cabinet departments, Congress, and agencies, commissions, and boards. Just as important as the scope of the conservative promises, recommendations, and the breadth of its authorship, this book is the product of more than 400 scholars and policy experts from across the conservative movement and around the country. Contributors include former elected officials, world-renowned economists, and veterans from our presidential administrations. This is an agenda prepared by and for conservatives who will be ready on day 1 of the next administration to save our country from the brink of disaster. The Heritage
That's a whole other point, what you just said.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I've been talking a lot. Go ahead.
Okay. Now I was just going to finish reading. I was just going to get to these promises. The Heritage Foundation is once again facilitating this work. But as our dozens of partners and hundreds of authors will attest, this book is the work of the entire conservative movement. As such, the authors express consensus recommendations already forged, especially along 4 broad fronts that will decide America's future. 1 is restore the family as the centerpiece of American life and protect our children. 2, dismantle the administrative state and return self-governance to the American people. 3, defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats. And 4, secure God-given individual rights to live freely, what our Constitution calls the blessings of liberty. And as you scroll more, they actually get into more detail as to how what the promises are and how they plan on implementing these 4 promises. But I think page 19 is where they really start to get into Project 2025 and the plans. Yep. So, but let me go back up to the top to the table of contents, because give you more of an outline on some of the things, the different sections that they have divided. So section 1 is, which starts on page 19, is taking the reins of government. Section 2 is common defense, when they're looking at restructuring the Defense Department. Section 3 is general warfare. Section 4 is the economy, and Section 5 is independent regulatory agencies. And these are the sections that they have this Project 2025 broken up into. And if you go to their website, they're talking about the those are the sections of Project 2025, but there are the pillars of Project 2025 is the policy agenda, the personnel database, the training, and the 180-day playbook. What you was gonna say, Pat?
No, I want to point out here. 1 is a conservative agenda,
right?
Not a Trump agenda. And in that vein, I think Trump not endorsing it, even though it would help him with conservatives, showcases exactly what PC said. Trump is not really a conservative.
But it also shows you that they need him.
Right. Trump is an independent who, prior to him running for an election, was Democratic.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that should be a whole nother statement. The other thing, though, is that inside of those 5 section headers, there are 35 total subsections where they go into a great deal of detail about the various different departments that they want to affect and all the way down to trade and small business. But here's the thing. If you understand civics, you understand how difficult it would be for any of this to happen unless people just lay it down and let it happen. Right. Now, if you understand American people, then you understand just how much we like to lay down and let stuff happen. So all together, we were in a very, but the idea that any of the stuff that we heard in the clip that started this is even remotely like they're trying to restructure, they're trying to take us back to antebellum Jim Crow, blah blah blah. Why would they want to take you Negroes back to slavery? Like, that's a legitimate question. Like why in this American society would they want black people to return to slavery? That's more work for them.
Yeah. Especially in a post-industrial, like what do you want to be out there picking nanofibers? Like it's
like I know we off on a tangent, but I really need black people to think about what is the benefit.
Pat, we ain't doing this today, bro. We are not doing this today, bro. We are not doing this
I'm gonna
today,
ask Joe.
bro.
Joe,
Yeah, go ahead.
what is the benefit to white people for reverting us all the way back to say 1843? What's the benefit in 2024 for us structuring society like it was in 1843? Is there a benefit?
You can grow more sugar cane.
What? Hold on.
Emotional damage.
Bruh. We listen, black people like being scared. Exciting to them. Yeah. I mean that's the only reason they even go in these tangents. They can't even make valid points about why this shit is so bad. Because if you actually think about this, this is the anti-Black Lives Matter website, their points of inference and things like that. It's literally the anti version where they were talking about destabilizing the homes and removing the man from being in in the head position, and actually removing them from the families and creating more single family like that. That was the Black Lives Matter thing.
That's the left,
right? So when and I'm just gonna go back. When they were talking about this, Trump wasn't even considered as an actual candidate at that particular time. They were hedging their particular wagons to your guy down there in Florida, DeSantis. DeSantis sound like praying mantis.
Not my guy.
I'm just saying, y'all mayor.
Yeah, Joe's guy. Joe's guy,
the governor.
Whatever.
But it like in the first 100 days, like, come on, man. The first 100 days, they're going to change. They're going to just empty out all the different. They're going to just empty out and Swiss cheese the Department of Defense. They're going to. The Department of Justice. They're going to implement all these policies.
Department of Defense is in there too. You was right.
Well, but at reading it, because I'm scrolling through it as we go through this, it's in front of me. They're using language like the next conservative president must, and so they put this in. They created this for just that, the next conservative president, but that person has to be on board with what they're talking about. But
so it's for whoever comes after Trump, then,
right? But for black people, yes. This could have negative consequences on black people because we don't have our stuff together.
But that's just it, Joe. These ain't going to get this stuff together. I know I'm using a lot of F words. They ain't going to get this stuff together. Yeah.
This your first time. This your first time reaching your. Usually,
I know, man. I've just been sitting
didn't
here.
You just reach it, Joe?
I just did too. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
So, they don't like all the things that have recommended, and I know that it's nothing that either Trump is recommending or this 2025 plan recommends benefits black people at all. We're not in the picture. Although the whole thing about removing natural birthrights, and black people don't get natural birthrights to citizenship anyway. If anybody understands the 14th Amendment, we're naturalized citizens. We're not birthright citizens. So, but anyway, that's another conversation for another day. the major keys to even dealing with this is the fact that we still don't take anything seriously. And so we don't want to plan for nothing but the next party or the next festival or this, that, and the other. And so because we don't want to we don't want to be the adults and we don't want to be the real leaders of our community. All we want to do really is hitch our wagon to whoever makes us, feel better. Because they don't even have to offer shit. None of this really matters. It's just a bunch, because we won't be able to stop it.
Well, we should also feel a bit duped by some of these news outlets because they're getting black people to concentrate on Project 2025 and nobody's looking at Agenda 47.
Agenda 47, yeah.
Our attention should be on Agenda 47 and what the Trump administration actually is saying, because yes, Trump has ties to people in Project 2025, and some of those people, according to what I've read, have contributed to Agenda 47. But they are saying this is what we want to implement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen some of it, and I'm just at the point where you ain't gonna scare me to vote for nobody. And the fact that they only think the Democratic Party only feel as though that, when black people are asking for something, anything, they're treating black people with the same policies of benign neglect that they've been doing since the 60s. So actually in the 50s. So you want to continuously treat black people with the policy of benign neglect, and they deserve a malicious response. Even if that malicious response is our silence or us utilizing our privilege of voting by deciding not to. You know what I'm saying? So, because that's active participation in the election, in politics. So I don't.
Hey.
That goes into a conversation we were having earlier as well about understanding that silence is a tactic. And that inaction is an action. You don't have to do something to do something, and you don't have to say something to be heard. Right. And I think if we could really but I want to take a moment because you just spoke on like a lot of this stuff. The president's first 100 days in office is the most productive time they have, especially if they have a supermajority in Congress.
That's the time.
So I want to take. It's going to take a minute. But I ask you to give me this time.
We in here. We talking. We in here.
I want to go over, since we talking about Project 2025, Agenda 47 really deserves its own show because there's some interesting stuff in there.
We got to come back on that.
But I want to take some time to really lay out all of the departments that are going to be, all of the subsections and everything that's touched by Project 2025. So bear with me. And we're going to skip over most of section 1 because most of it is just the introductory piece.
Yeah.
But the White House office is in there, specifically the executive office of the president and all central personnel agencies that manage the bureaucracies. Those are the people that are appointed by the president to head up these places.
That's going to be under the personnel database that they want to train to be more effective conservative administrators.
Right. So that database is going to be people that are going to be available for the incoming president that buys into Project 2025 to select for these roles. Right. And I've seen a lot of people saying, wouldn't it be nice if a bunch of Democrats just filled up that database with a bunch of useless names? And I'm like, y'all are acting like this is 1976. Not 2024. If you fill it up with a bunch of data, a bunch of bullshit, that's a computer click to get all of y'all eliminated. To focus on this ain't a bunch of people filing stuff away in a spreadsheet, a paper file somewhere where you come. What are we doing? This is an example of how the tactics have failed to evolve on the liberal side of things, on the left side. Anyways, you done got me distracted. All right. Central personnel agencies. Then we get into the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, the intelligence community. That includes FBI, CIA, NSA, and all of the other ones. Media agencies. That's not even government organizations. media agencies, agency for international development, welfare agencies, Department of Agriculture, Department of Education, Department of Energy and related commissions, the EPA, which that's pretty quick. They want to get rid of it. Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Housing and Urban Development, Department of Interior, Department of Justice, Department of Labor, Department of Transportation, VA, Department of Veterans Affairs, the Economy, Department of Commerce, Department of Treasury, Export-Import Bank, Federal Reserve, Small Business Administration, all the trade, independent regulatory agencies, finance regulatory agencies, Federal Communications Commission, Federal Elections Commission, Federal Trade Commissions. All of these are various different organizations, some of them not even connected to the federal government, that they want to touch and reshape through Project 2025. And they're going to try to do this over a period of a prolonged period of multiple presidents. But in the specific case that the Democrats are trying to get us afraid of, they're going to try to do it in the first 100 days of Trump's next presidency.
And this is your and what the rundown you just gave. This is from the second section under the White House office from Rick Dearborn.
No, this
is the table of contents, their policy.
Okay,
this is the entirety, all of the subsections and everything from Project 25. All 900 pages.
Gotcha. Well,
they're going to try to get done in the first 100 days of Trump's next presidency.
Yeah, that's the table of contents.
Well, because it does go into that Rick Dearborn section. That's that section too. So yeah.
If that, and I'm saying because I got all the sections broken out, not tabbed out, but broken out into separate documents because that's how I consume it, section by section over time. But so the first 100 days of Trump's presidency, he's going to do all of that. If we listen to the Democrats, if you believe that, then you need to donate $500 billion to me right now because I can stop it.
Right. So check this out. So like the pillars of the project, like I said, the policy agenda, building on the legacy of mandate for leadership. This comprehensive policy guide for the incoming presidential administration will offer specific proposals for every major issue facing the country, pulling from the expertise of the entire conservative movement. Personnel database, the most comprehensive policy agenda will have only limited impact without the right people in place to implement it. The project will cast a net across the country to identify conservatives from all walks of life to serve the next conservative administration. And you can click to apply if you're interested. Training to turn this talent pool into effective conservative administrators. The project will bring together experts who have served in prior administrations that can share their knowledge through workshops, seminars, online videos, and mentorship. In the 180-day playbook, the time is short and conservatives need a plan. The project will create a playbook of actions to be taken in the first 180 days of the new administration to bring quick relief to Americans suffering from the left's devastating policies. And it's an overview, an insight into what they want to do. But of course, you have to read the whole plan to get all of the details on what they want to do. And we are going to do that moving forward. But we do have to deal with Agenda 47. We do have to deal with Agenda 47 as well, because that's that's the Trump administration's actual plan. But we do want to make sure that we understand Project 2025 and what's going on. So next week's video, we're going to go further into Project 2025, but we're also going to deal with Agenda 47. We're gonna deal with that, but we got some other stuff to talk to. So y'all might get a special video from us or something, because we got other stuff to talk to in the community. Because PC had a good idea, so we're gonna make sure we get all these topics out. But we have to talk about Black America's place in this political climate and why we continue to fall for the fear mongering and run around with our heads cut off because of what the specific news outlets that we choose to consume continue to tell us without even double checking or referencing the information that's being given to you. Don't be afraid of Project 2025. Educate yourself about Project 2025. Educate yourself about Agenda 47. Educate yourself about how the country is actually ran. I keep telling, I'm having a conversation with one of my interns, and I'm telling her, we're talking about Project 2025. Like, what would have to happen for like Trump to actually become king of the United States? Like, what would happen? Like, we all know what America does to people that they don't like.
Oh,
And right now, the country, administratively, governmentally, idealistically, the country is split. So it's enough on either side to do what they need to do to keep this bird flying.
Say this. Let me say this real quick, and then I'm done. A panicked mind is not a processing mind. Y'all let these people panic you. You ain't gonna be able to think appropriately.
Right. Stop being afraid and start thinking. Start educating yourself. Start seeing what's going on. But also make sure you are active and knowledgeable about your civics and your voting process. But all in all, Black people, we could better help ourselves if we better helped ourselves. If we work together, if we actually pull it together. Now you want to be scared.
Yeah, that's the part. And this is why I say it really doesn't matter, like all the scare tactics and stuff, because I don't even see how they can keep Trump out the White House at this point. But whether it's Agenda 47 or whether it's Project 2025, Black people ain't willing to put in the legwork. We ain't willing to put in the resources. I mean, you got people that would rather spend like $1,100 to take a picture with Chris Brown than put into, to contribute to a situation where we can actually operate our own think tanks that can solely focus on this. Understand, I don't even think people really understand the significance of a think tank, even though all of our policies come from think tanks. You know what I'm saying? And even the group that put this together was a think tank.
Right. Heritage Foundation is a think tank. So in terms of understanding that we have to have our own, the only person I knew that really had one that was halfway successful was Dr. Claude Anderson. Other than that, I used to buy his newsletters and stuff just because I felt like that was something important to fund. But in terms of just being able to understand this, we get on, we want to find somebody that's going to get on the podium. We're looking for a charismatic leader to take the reins. We're not looking to do the work behind the scenes. You can't even name nobody that works for the Heritage Fund or the Heritage Organization. Like, you can't name anybody that's behind the scenes that put their paws and dug in on this particular this project, or even the one that Donald Trump is putting together with Agenda 47. We don't know the people behind the scenes, and you're not supposed to, because those people are supposed to work anonymously. They probably got pizza, smoke a lot of cigarettes or whatever, just chopping, putting numbers together and creating scenarios and possibilities and probabilities and outcomes. We don't really care for all that. We would rather debate in the comment section and write books in the comment section that nobody reads. And I'm not even talking about just this video. I'm just talking about people, period, in our community. And the conscious community has got to be some of the biggest pimps and hustlers out there, because they're always trying to get shit done for free. The information is for the people. We shouldn't have to pay anything for it. Yes, you should. You pay everything else for everybody else. You ain't gonna go to your light bill people and we should have electricity for free. You're gonna pay it without question. When you want to go on vacation, you're gonna pay it without question. All that cable you be watching, you're gonna pay it without question. All the fun stuff you do, you pay it without question. The revolution has to be funded as well.
Either pay for it or you're going to pay for it.
Hey man, look, man, look. Basically, what you just said, but educate yourself about Project 2025. Read it. Agenda 47. Read it. Because matter of fact, like you're saying, Y'all didn't even know the people who are involved in Project 2025. If you go to the website, which is in the description, you will see the directors. If you go to the website, you have the ability to download the 900-page manual.
Mm-hmm.
They have the authors of the sections names right under it, like the second section, the White House, Rick Dearborn. His name is right up under the title. The first section, who did the first section? Well, taking the government arranged. That was a collective effort. That wasn't no single author. But
They
it's
don't know
all
who
the
them people is. They don't even know who Edward Bloom is.
Hey man, look. All I'm saying is all the information you would need is right there. All you have to do is read it. But don't. Yes, this plan, groups of people who don't have their stuff together, you're gonna be negatively affected by Project 2025. Or even Agenda 47. Or even the Democrats being reelected.
Or even Joe climbing out your mama's bedroom window.
Like I'm Pastor Simmons.
It's like you Pastor Simmons.
There it is. I thought I was gonna have to beep out something. I'm like, dang, Pat, I gotta beep out something this late in the video, Pat.
Got
Pat.
There you go. PC just hit his limit.
Nah, dude. Nah, PC. That you can't. That you lose one for next week. Now you one down.
My apology. That was the wrong one too. But
it roll over minutes over here.
He said roll over minutes. It's crazy.
Nah, hey man. But you know, let's do what we need to do for ourselves. But honestly, though, Project 2025, Agenda 47, or any other administrative policy that is out there, it negatively affects groups of people who refuse to have their stuff together. So Black people, you have reason to be scared because we ain't getting our stuff together. So Joseph Ward, Patrick Irvin, Professor Carlton Jones. I don't know. FetLifeStation.com, 2 p.m. Link is in the description. Make sure you check it out. ThePAX.org, on the shoulders1.com, as you check it out. And I got my my interest meeting for my Black History School coming up on June 27th. So I've been getting a lot of feedback and a lot of messages. So people seem like they want to come out and get their kids involved. So we're finna do some things. So y'all finna be coming down to Tallahassee, man. We finna do some stuff. And of course, you know, the curriculum that we put together a while ago, we're gonna be using that, implementing that. So we got a lot of information to get these kids and a lot of stuff. We're gonna do a lot of good things and teach them some real life skills and teach them how to practically use this information and not just gather it. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about what we got coming up. So y'all make sure y'all support On the Shoulders of Giants because we got a lot to do in the community. Support Fed Life Station, support PAX, support everything we got going on. And love y'all, and I'll see y'all next week.